I don't know what I did too hard like this to be left in the cold all this time, so pissed.
What's up y'all, my name is Miggy and I'm a second year at ASU studying industrial design, and today I'll be showcasing my IND 218 shoe design process from start to finish. So let's get right into it. First things first is research and exploration. I'm coming into this project with only a small understanding of shoe design. I know my big brands like Nike's, Adidas, New Balances and such, but I don't necessarily know what types of materials that they're using, some of the manufacturing processes, etc, etc. So I'm hoping to get some insights through research on how I can create the shoe, who I can create it for, what type of shoe I can create. My research started by going into the different types of shoes that has existed in the past all the way up until now, and it really started off by looking into some of the bigger brands that we all know, the checks and stripe brands, and coincidentally I actually bought this book from Complex, Sneaker of the Year, and it showcases some of the best shoes that has existed since 1985. And I actually bought that at the very beginning of the semester without knowing what our project was going to be like, so it came in pretty handy. I also looked up some of the current existing shoes in the market and figured out what designs are trending in order to fit my shoe in a specific niche. After looking more up, I found myself in the realm of hiking shoes. I felt highly inspired by the Nike ACG lineups as they provided a stylistic look while keeping some of the designs functionable in hiking. And since I was going into hiking shoes as my main focus, I wanted to get a deeper understanding of the different types of use cases there are for hiking shoes. So I looked up some of the existing hiking shoes that exist out there, looking into the different types of threads that they use, or types of optimal materials, weight, sizes, aesthetics, etc. And from there, I started sketching, ideating different hiking shoe forms. But I actually started off with a shoe sketch study first, sketching a shoe form that I already own, like these New Balances right here. Then I started exploring different types of bottom soles and thread designs, with many being highly conceptual in form, such as the amoeba-inspired shoe soles and directional arrow lugs, which ideally would provide more grip as you walk. And I moved on to the upper designs, which were all highly inspired by the Nike ACG lineups in terms of their overall silhouette and stylish look for hiking shoes. And then from there, I started doing my foam prototype. Since I decided on the shape of my sole, I sketched it right onto the foam core that I was going to be using, which I cut up with a bench top bandsaw. Unfortunately, my first iteration of the shoe sole ended up being on the thinner side, so I had to redo it another time, which gave me two different sets of foam sole cores to use. So moving on to the upper model prototype, I started by cutting up pieces of prep paper and wrapping it around an existing shoe that matches the form of mine, which was a pair of Converse. From there, I taped together the print papers to create the outer silhouette of the upper. Then I stuffed one of my socks with pieces of crumbled paper and a tiny water bottle to form the shape of a foot to insert into the paper form. And then I proceeded to wrap tape around the paper until it was fully covered and stable. And with a basic shoelace, I tied it around to make shift loopholes to best match the lace form I ideated. The next day, I decided to clean up the upper even more by sewing canvas fabric to cover the whole upper to better match the material I had in mind. So, on to the final step of the process, which was actually my favorite part of the whole design process. And it was time to visualize the final look of the shoe by creating a composite in Photoshop with different materials found online. So I first took a side profile view of my shoe prototype and inserted it into Photoshop. From there, I started to select and differentiate areas of the show that will eventually be overlaid with different materials that are found on Adobe Stock and stock photos. Once the materials have been applied, I fixed up the lighting and added some graphics to help make the shoe feel more real with the iconic Nike logo. And the final result is this flexible black hiking shoe designed for moderate outdoor trails under dry to wet conditions, which ideally features Gore-Tex waterproof uppers, as well as very flexible material that allows you to go hiking as if it was barefoot but still feel very comfortable. That was pretty much my shoe design process from start to finish, but to quickly reiterate, first step of the process was research, looking into the existing shoes to take inspo from and innovate further. Second was to sketch out the ideas that I gained from that research. And 3 was of course prototyping the sketches that I had and making it come to life. And of course the last step was to visualize the final look of the shoe through digital rendering and compositing in Photoshop. I'd say this project was definitely challenging for me. I'd say I had a lot of hiccups here and there, but looking back at it now, seeing the process from start to finish, especially as I make this video, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the final results, as I think I also came out as a better designer in the end. So that said, thank you for watching.